Good afternoon and welcome to another of our podcast series, Truth and Share. I'm your host again today, Rohit Krishna. Today we have another special episode in our Employee Spotlight series. I'm joined today by one of our longstanding tenured folks out of our Cleveland office, Samirah Graham. Welcome, Samirah.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So, Sam, I know you've been with the company now going on 8 years, I believe.
Well, it's 8.5 now.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great.
Yes.
Sorry, 8.5 years. And, you've done a ton of different roles at the company and, you've always been a very positive influence on the individuals that you've interacted with. You and I kind of got to know each other, I think probably 2013 or 14. I was traveling and we met in the Cleveland office. And so, we've known each other for a while. I've always, admired the work that you do and the impact that you have on our business and our people. And so, in these episodes, we just want our audience, viewers and listeners to get to know, our employees and our team. And so, you're one of the integral members of that team. So, we just talk pretty informally and just kind of get to know you. Okay. So I'm going to dive right in if that's okay.
Fine.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, about 5 or 6 questions in total. And so, my first question for you, Sam, is, give us your elevator pitch. Tell us about, 120 seconds or less of Samirah Graham.
Okay. Well, I actually started with the S&P May the 7th, 2012. I came in for an interview. And the guy that I was interviewing with said, "Hey, I don't recommend you on this particular inbound program because it was commercial. I mean, it wasn't commercial, it was residential type customers." So he said, "Hey, I think you'd be better suited for our business inbound program." And I'm like, whatever. So I came in and it was very familiar to me because, by the time that I came in, I already had a training background of almost 8 years at that time. So I came in and I ended up in my training classroom training the people that I was supposed to be sitting with training. So that actually started my career here at S&P. I started off as an agent. Then I went to a TA, which is a trainer assistant. And then from the trainer assistant, I went to a trainer. We brought another program in. I took that program, was able to help launch that program from a training perspective.
Fantastic. Okay.
And then I was promoted as a senior trainer, helped managing about 15 trainers we had across 3 sites in the U.S.
Fantastic.
And then now I'm sitting here as the training team lead, which helps manage trainers across our U.S. locations again, just making sure that they have the tools that they need to bring out successful individuals once they come to the SP Data family.
Awesome. Fantastic. I appreciate that background, Sam. And, you've obviously had a pretty rewarding career with us and, different, roles. Primarily, like you said, you started out on an inbound commercial program. And, for those of us who are not familiar with inbound commercial, it's, taking customer calls that are calling in and helping out business owners with their business services. Is that right?
Yes, 100%.
Fantastic. Okay, good. And so, it's funny that you said May 7th, by the way, because I started in the same year, but on February 12th. So I think I got 1 or 2 months before you, but right around the same time. That's fantastic. Okay. So, Sam, I think, one of the things that we've talked about on this show before is, folks may not really know a lot about the contact center world, right? I know myself personally when I first started at S&P. I also started as an agent, which now we call associate, right? But, at the time, I didn't really know too much about the other areas of the business, what other opportunities, what career paths were available. So, how would you describe yourself in terms of a day in the life of a training manager now in your current role?
A day in the life is being open to my trainers, being open to the associates that we have that are being trained from various programs, whether it's inbound or outbound, just being available and always being open, and because everyone's not going to have a good day, whether you're an associate or even a trainer, right? So being that person that they can call on to talk through issues to help them problem solve, and even problem solving for associates. I have associates who they're out of training almost 6-7 months, and they still send me an email and say, hey, I need guidance on this. So it's just more so being available and being a mentor to the people that I'm here to support.
Got it. Okay. So, and how would you describe sort of your regular day? Like, you wake up in the morning. I know you're currently working from home, which is fantastic.
Right.
So how do you go about your day? What do you do first? What do you do next? What do you do last?
So, well, first of all, I have a young 15-year-old at home. So definitely get her situated, right, with her homeschooling.
Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn, yes. Get her situated with her homeschooling. But my day typically starts with just opening up the laptop, logging in, making sure that I check all of my emails, making sure that trainers have everything that they need to start their day, right?
Perfect.
Making sure that I know what my day consists of, just looking at my calendar, how many calls I have, do I have any interactions with any of our clients that we have, and making sure if, I do have interactions, if the trainers are supposed to be a part of that, letting them know ahead of time so that we always know that being timely is really good. So being prompt on the calls and, and being ready and making sure that we have the tools to discuss what's needed for the day, whether it's a client call or just training every day. And I typically am available for anyone, for the entire day, typically from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's when the last training class stopped for the evening. So just being available throughout those hoops for our teams.
Awesome. Okay. And so, I know that, you and I have been on calls before as well. And, for those of us who are tuning in today on the episode, the interaction that Sam, you just mentioned that you've had with our clients is really around, what's going well in training, what can we enhance and improve upon. And, I think for your role in particular, it's a pretty unique one in that you have so much scope around so many different accounts, like you mentioned. And, you have a lot of people that you support from a trainer perspective and also from a, frontline management and staff perspective, right? And that mentor role that you play is a really important one because it gives, people a path to, future growth in the company and, to learn from people who really have expertise and experience in that field. And so I think that's really great. And you do a fantastic job, by the way, of it. So
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Kudos to you. What aspects of your role in particular do you find, most rewarding?
You know what? The most rewarding piece is to bring a trainer on board to our team that may not have all of the training background that another company would even look at to even bring them aboard, right? So taking that particular individual, giving them the tools so that they can excel, and just watching their timeline of just started, didn't know this, and now I know this. I have less questions. I can manage the class. My graduation rates are, impeccable, and and just watching them grow, right? And and I just get a feel for that, and it's amazing to watch a trainer grow from not even knowing a program to possibly managing that program or being a lead trainer on that program themselves.
Right. And I think, and that's fantastic. I think it's an important, role to play, like you said, a mentor figure for, a lot of our staff who are looking to develop their careers as well. Right. And as you said, and I know of a couple of names, just, from some of the folks that you've worked with that have gone on to, either take a management role from an operations perspective or even go to a different area of the business with the knowledge and background and foundation that they learned through the training delivery process specifically. And, being a trainer is an extremely important role in our organization. And, we're lucky to have a strong resource in you in particular to help support and develop these individuals. So, that's fantastic. I'm happy to hear that, mentorship and development is sort of on the top of your list in terms of what you find rewarding.
Definitely.
Good. Okay. So, what about the environment at S&P? How can you describe that to folks who may not know us, as an organization? What do you think, the environment is like? How would you describe it?
I think that our environment is definitely fun, family oriented. Like it's almost like once you're in, you're in. You're part of the family, and you feel welcome from that moment that you step foot into the training room, right? Because sometimes, we have our trainers, they'll have the big dinners at the end of training. So, hey, welcome to the family. You've made them. Right. Definitely our potlucks. You made it. And then when they get to the floor, they see the same type of environment, a sense of welcoming, a sense of, hey, you belong here. If you don't know, or if your skills are not where the next person should be, hey, let's talk about this. Let's get you up to where a top performing agent is or associate is, so I think that it's and it's always been that way since 2012, very warm, very welcome, family oriented. It's like, hey, you're my family now, let's go do this, And so it's always like that. And I feel like if anyone's ever been at another company and never felt that, you actually feel that from the first day that you start in a training class with S&P.
Fantastic. And I think that's important, right? Especially because in the contact center world, you're spending, the better part of 38 to 40 hours a week with the same people. And so, I always thought coming up in the company and doing various roles is that you actually end up spending more time with your coworkers and your peers than you do sometimes with your own family, right? And so you get to know people really well, and you build a lot of good and strong connections, which I think is fantastic. Whether you stay here or go anywhere else, I mean, the network that you build is really amazing, right? So good. Okay. So thank you for sharing that feedback. So, the other piece that I think is important, and as we all know, the pandemic has really changed life as we know it for a lot of people, right? I think for us, we were fortunate enough from our business's perspective to keep our doors open, so to speak, and we didn't have a lot of negative impacts from COVID. We did have to pivot the way we were doing things. Obviously, we deployed a bunch of folks to work from home. The majority of our business now with a small cohort still remaining on premise in our locations. But, a lot of folks who traditionally had not had, worked in a call center or contact center in the past, found that they were coming to work at the contact center, right? So, for our viewers and listeners who may not have that experience of working at a contact center, what advice can you give those people for, what it is like working at a contact center?
More so just being open-minded, being flexible. Definitely flexibility goes a long way when you're in a contact center, depending, when it goes to schedules, when it goes to client needs, right? Because we know that you could come in on one client need and that need can change overnight. So just understanding that, being flexible, that's my number one thing for any contact center. Being flexible, being open-minded and ready for change, because things change so often, from promotions on a day-to-day basis, from the processes. So if you're not that type of person that do well with, change, constant change, you'll struggle in a contact center. And that's just my thing. And that's what I go in and I say to all new people coming in from training. The one thing that stays the same with the contact center is change. If you can't deal with change, you will struggle. And that's just the mindset that you have to have coming in the door.
Yeah, no, and it's a good point, right? I think one of the I guess maybe stigmas around the contact center and the type of work it is sort of tedious, repetitive stuff, right? And to your point, and in my experience as well, it was not like that, right? Like, to your point, everything things can change very often, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it and still continue to enjoy it, because at every role and every level in the organization, there are changes that come, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, and it keeps things fresh, so to speak. And, I personally like that. And I'm glad that, that's something that is front and center for you as well. And appreciate you sharing that feedback. So good, Sam. So, it's a great conversation. Appreciate, your openness and just, sharing your insights and your views. My last question before we wrap up here is, we're obviously a day or two away from Christmas and sort of the holidays, and then obviously the new year. It's kind of crazy that 2020 has flown by so quickly already. I know you got your two kids, Stefan and Brooklyn, at home as well. What plans do you guys have for the holidays? Anything special planned?
So non-traditional Christmas dinner.
Got it.
We plan to go all out and do the entire spread of dinner, like enchiladas,
nice.
Rice and beans, and tacos, and tamales. So it's definitely changed, right? Hey, let's do something that's the world is so crazy right now. We have to change it up at this.
Change up the routine. Sounds fantastic.
Yes. So we're in the process of creating a whole spread. I'm going to rent some tables and have it all spread out, and
nice. Observe your social distancing stuff. Nice. Okay, good.
Yes. So instead of being in the dining room eating, we're going to set up the basement, but we're still not going to have a lot of guests, right? You still got to be safe with that. So it's just having fun, and when it comes to my 15-year-old daughter, spending a lot of my money. So
so I feel that. I got my son is coming up on his first birthday, and my pocket's already feeling light. I'll thank my wife later for that one, but
yes, definitely.
No, I think thank you. Like, I think it's good. It's good to kind of decompress and take the time with family and spend that time. And especially during this year, it's been pretty hectic, right?
Yes,
to say the least. But okay, so I think that about wraps it up for this episode, Sam. Again, thank you so much for joining us on the episode today for our special employee spotlight. For our viewers and listeners at home today, thank you so much for tuning in to another podcast, Truth and Share. Happy holidays, folks, and tune into another podcast episode next week on Truth and Share, where it's everything you always wanted to know, but were afraid to ask. And remember, folks, the truth shall set you free. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thanks, Rohit.